Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody here in the room. Welcome, everybody from home. Welcome to another seminar organized by the research group Abstraction within the cycle of seminars sponsored by the ERC funded project Abstraction Unlocking Meaning from Experience Through Language. This morning's seminar is held by Dr. Veronica Repetti. She's a PhD student within the lab of language and cognition at the University of Genova. And Veronica is in her third PhD year, so almost finished, almost done. And she has been working on different topics, and also she has a very popular and famous and followed account through which she organizes dissemination activities and public outreach activities that are very effective. So we are very happy and honored to have her here today to present a seminar by the title Concrete or Abstract Possession, Animacy, Alienability, and the Syntactic Structure of Children and Adults. So without any further ado, I'm now leaving the floor to Veronica Repetti. Welcome.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for the invitation today. I'm really glad to be here. So let's start to talk about a topic that is a classics in theoretical linguistics, the possession structures. But here today we will analyze possession in a more empirical way from viewing some data and some experiments about that. So let's start. How I can, it doesn't work there. I have a problem too. Because I have to change my slide. Yeah. Okay, yes, now it works. Thank you very much for the help. So let's start from a quotation from Saylor that says linguistic possession consists of the representation of a relationship between a substance and another substance. Of course, this definition is not so much clear. So I think that we could do something better. So let's start from some basis on possession. First of all, linguistic possession consists in a relationship between a possessor and a possessed. But it's very important to know that possession is not the same thing of ownership. Ownership is only one of the possibilities of the relation of possession. And the possession, of course, can express different relationships, a lot of relationships. So let's get a view of these possible relationships, because we can express the relation of body parts of someone or something, like the cat's tail or Julia's small. And we, of course, can express ownership, the more prototypical ownership, for objects. So the thorns of the rose or the house fence. And we can express the possession of intangible things, like Greta's idea or Elena has a headache. And we can express also some relationships, some very important relationships, like the relationships with relatives. So Ottavia's mother or Sophia has a lover. So let's start from a preliminary analysis, semantic analysis of the linguistic possession. And it is the distinction between alienable and inalienable possession. In these terms, we want to distinguish the possibility of having something that can be not detachable from the possessor, or something that is very inherent of the possessor. So with inalienable, we are saying something that is very connected with the possessor, like a body part, like the model's arm or the cactus spines. Of course, we can cut the arm of the model, but it is creepy. And also, if we have the arm of the model away from the model, it is still of the model. So it's not really detachable of her. And in the other way, the alienable possession is something that can be detached from the possessor, and it is something that we can sell, that we can lose, that we can pass. So something like the I can admit someone, I think. Okay, and so like the model skirt or the cactus pot. I love possession because in the more European way to see the languages, we understand this difference between the syntactic distinction only covertly. But there are some languages that has this distinction very overtly in the morphosyntactic grammar. So there are in the map some points of these languages, and we can see some examples of this. So, for example, in Samoan and Oceanic languages, both possessive constructions use an overt marker, morphological, and it is an A for alienable and an O for inalienable possession. So in the example, the sentence le uso o le fa fine is the sister of a woman, and this is an alienable possession because it's a relationship. And we have le naifi a le fa fine, the knife of the woman, that is an alienable possession. But this is not the only way to mark morphologically this distinction. We have also a zero-coded strategy that is in contrast with an overt marker. So this is an example from the West Papuan language Abun, and we have Jisin, and this is I arm, so my arm, and this is the zero-coded strategy. And we have GB Ngwe, and this is I genitive garden, so my garden, and this is alienable possession. It's important to look at the possession structures from a syntactic point of view too. And we have a preliminary distinction between attributive and predicative possession. So let's see some examples like Nick's book or the fruit of the tree, that is an attributive possession because it's all, everything is inside of the nominal. And we have Nick has the book or the tree has the fruit. That is the predicative possession. We have the verb have to understand this relationship. So let's go deeper and let's see some studies in a more psycholinguistic way to understand possession. And the first that I want to present you, other people, okay, admit, no, okay, you just did. So, I want to present you the study of Storbeck and Kaiser. And they did the sentence continuation task, and they wanted to understand the prominence of the possession. If the possessive structure can be prominent in the sentence. So they contrast two types of phrases, the possessed versus the nominal. So like the Sam's doctor versus the doctor, to understand which one is the more prominent. And also they focus on the animacy of the possessed, like the human role nouns versus the animal concrete objects, like Sam's doctor versus Sam's car, or the doctor versus the car. They describe three hypotheses possible for this experiment. So the animacy hypothesis, where the relationship, the possessed thing, where is animate, it is more prominent than the non-animate one, like in the Sam's doctor versus Sam's car. And there is the possessed hypothesis, where Sam's doctor versus the doctor, where the Sam's doctor is more prominent because it's a possessive construction versus a nominal construction, a definite one. And also they put the interaction hypothesis, because there is no exclusion from the animacy and the possessed. It could be both. And of course, they win the interaction hypothesis, so was very interesting. Another study that is a starting point for my studies is the Wade and Chen. And they did a plausibility judgment task. They contrast alienable versus inalienable possessed, but only in attributive condition. And what they found? They found faster response times for inalienable possession. And they asserted that there is an evidence that inalienable possession carry a more salient default meaning, which is therefore more accessible in online language processing. It's interesting, the use of salient that is from salience, and it's very similar to the word prominence. But so there is, of course, something that is bounded of these studies. However, in the experiment in the study of Wade and Chen, they aren't testing for the line processing. So they found only something in the offline processing, because it was a plausibility judgment task. So it was impossible to say that there is something in the real-time process. And this is why we start to do something by our. So we decided to replicate the study, and of course in Italian, because the study of Wade and Chen was in English. So for starting this, we did an arming study to select the plausible items that we will use in Italian. So we sent the 2 online questionnaires, and we tested possessive phrases with animate or inanimate possessors. And the participants rated plausibility on a Likert scale. We had 2 rounds to select all the items, and finally we had a good set, 80 phrases total, in which there are 64 plausible, 32 alienable, and 32 inalienable, and 16 implausible. So our destructors. First step, so with these items, we tried to replicate the study, and our research questions were, our research question was, are the participants faster to comprehend the inalienable possessive phrases also in Italian? So we had 65 participants in our laboratory. We have a balanced gender, a mean age of 26, and different studies of education, but a high education, we can say. So what we found? We found effectively a main effect of alienability. So we can confirm the data of Wade and Chen. But we, so now we can sum up this data, and so we replicated the plausibility judgment task, and we can extend the data to Italian. So there is the confirmation, at least in offline processing. So the hypothesis of vague enchained inalienable possession that is inherently more accessible and require less cognitive effort to process. But we want to go further. So now we replicated the results, and we want to know something else. So are we sure that it was the best design to understand the phenomenon? Maybe we could do better. And of course, what about online processing? So we refined our research question and all the design. So the first research question was, are inalienable possessions more prominent than alienable also in online processing? To do this, we split the task. So we did first a reading task, and after that, the plausibility judgment task. So we had two phases. Firstly, the reading phase. Each sentence appeared alone on the screen, as you can see at the image, and participants read it and pressed "Ho letto," so I read, to confirm comprehension. And after that was the judgment phase. After a brief delay, 1 second delay, two response options appeared, the A and the N for acceptable or non-acceptable, and participants judged the plausibility as quickly and accurately as possible. So we have the reading time and the reaction time to compare. The second research question, is alienability or animacy more prominent than the other? So we did something as the Storbeck and Kaiser did, and we set three hypotheses: the animacy hypothesis, the inalienable hypothesis, and maybe the interaction hypothesis. And the third research question. The previous studies were focused only on attributive structures, which often presuppose the possession relationship. Because if I say Sam's car, it is presupposed that Sam has a car. And in the predicative sentence, if I say Sam has a car, it is not presupposed, it is asserted. So we thought that it will be very interesting to understand if different syntactic realization, the attributive versus the predicative, influence the processing of possessive sentences. And there are our hypotheses, the possible hypotheses. In the syntactic hypothesis, where attributive and predicative possession will be processed differently, as attributive possession is syntactically embedded and presupposed a possessive relationship, while predicative possession explicitly asserts possession. In the other hypothesis, the semantic one, if both forms are derived from the same semantics, because the semantic is not changed, they may exhibit similar processing patterns, regardless of whether the possession is expressed attributive or predicative. So, what we did, we constructed a different set of items that worked both for the attributive and for the predicative. And I can say that it was no simple at all. But we tried and we did. We did a lot of pretests to have the more balanced items that we could. Some frequency control, because we used only the base vocabulary of Italian to construct them, and it is made, but Tullio De Mauro is 7,000 of words, and it is a very poor vocabulary. And we had some legibility assessment, and we tested the co-occurrence analysis of the couple of possessor and possessed too. So let's see some examples of this. We crossed all the conditions. So we had for the attributive, the inalienable animate was the scar of the boxer, and for the predicative, the boxer has the scar. For alienable possession, we have the glove of the boxer, and the boxer has the glove. And we have the inanimate possessor too. So the scar of the hand, or the hand has the scar, and the alienable inanimate, like the glove of the hand, and the hand has the glove. So let's see some data about this experiment, and in fact, the attributive experiment. We had a sample of 706 participants. It was online, so all the participants did it by itself on their phones, and they had 64 target and 16 fillers. And for the predicative experiment, we have 546 participants, also online from their phones, and the same items in the predicative version, of course. So, the results of the attributive experiments. We did an analysis with the general linear mixer models with an inverse Gaussian distribution. And for the attributive, we had these results in reading times. We had the main effect of animacy and the interaction between factors, so between animacy and inanimate. And for the reaction times, we had separate main effects of animacy and alienability. For the predicative ones, we had instead in the reading times the two separate main effects on animacy and alienability and the interaction between these factors. And for the reaction times, the same as the attributive one, so the separate effects, the main effect on animacy and the main effect on alienability. So let's discuss about these results. So we can say that in the reading times, we have always interaction between alienability and animacy, so it's confirmed the interaction hypothesis. But in the attributive structures, the possessor is more prominent than the possessed. And it could be explained by the fact that the whole is foregrounded than the part, because the structure is a nominal structure, is not asserted, is presupposed. And the discussion about the reaction time. The animate possessor is more prominent than the inanimate one, and it could be explained by some psychological studies where there are stronger memory representation for animate entities than inanimate ones, so it's normal and aligned with the literature. And the inalienable possessed is more prominent than the alienable one, because the relationship in inalienable possession is an essential connection between the possessor and the possessed, and does not imply establishing the kind of control of the possessor over the alienable possessed. And the other thing is that inalienable things are a closed class. So as adults, we know that the body parts are fine. So it's maybe more simply to connect with the possessor. So to sum up the experiments, as the first step, we replicated the plausibility judgment task, and we had the confirmation of Biden-Chen only in the offline process. Oh, I'm sorry. This was a mistake. Okay, so so now we can say to ourselves, but what about children? One thing to understand is that possession is one of the earliest conceptual linguistic domains that emerge very, very early in the speaking of children. And it is unsurprising, because to say that something is possessed, but something is a way to describe the world, to understand the boundaries of the identity the own identity of the child and the world that where they live. So it's very important to understand possessional things. And so let's see something about the previous studies on children. The fact is that from a syntactic point of view, most of the studies were focused on attributive structures. I don't really know why. the previous studies were always on attributive structures in adults too, but this is a fact. And the only study that, at the best of my know, examined both attributive and predicative possessive constructions was Eisenberg et al. In 2009 in German-speaking children. And they used a structured production task. And their findings revealed that there was greater difficulty to produce predicative possessives than attributive ones. So maybe it's interesting to investigate more the predicative. But let's see the other study about the attributive. So, for example, in Veronica, there was a structured elicitation method with Finnish-speaking children. There was the elicitation of genitive phrases with nominal possessors. And in Hong et al., there was a corpus-based analysis of early Cantonese. And it was for identify the possessive markers in children's spontaneous utterances. So yes, the most of the data was about the production or the corpus. And of course, the past studies do not provide a conclusive account of how alienability influences comprehension in children. The more interesting corpus-based analysis is the more recent one is from Cheng and Zhang, and this is about the spontaneous utterances produced by 6 Mandarin-speaking children between 2 and 5 years. And their findings indicate that inalienable relationships emerge earlier and occurred more frequently than alienable ones. So they say that these results are because the children's egocentric cognition and early social experience. And they note that body part relationships are related to children's early self-centered psychology. But if we look at another study, of course, an older one of Volikoff and Marquesini, there was a task of comprehension of the possessive phrases in English. And there was another result. They investigated 3 types of possessive relationships, the alienable, the inalienable, and the reciprocal. So mommy's baby, because we can switch the possessor with the possessed. And the data said that children could distinguish between these types, with reciprocal possessive being significantly more difficult. But the fact was that wasn't no statistically significant between inalienable and alienable relation. Another study that I think it's interesting to analyze is Phasic. And in his study, he said that in naturalistic interaction, they were more likely to assert possession and defend objects typically considered alienable than inalienable features like body parts. And he said that alienable possession may be more accessible and meaningful in early childhood, as possessiveness is most often observed in reference to objects then can be removed or controlled. A more prototypical possession, an ownership possession. And because children are more likely to use explicit possessive language with property type objects. So we constructed our research questions, and of course they were very similar to the research questions of adults. So we tested the difference between alienable and inalienable possession, the animate versus the inanimate possessors, and the attributive versus the predicative structures from a syntactic point of view. But we have the test of the TROG2. So why the TROG2? This is the Italian version of the test for the reception of grammar, and it is a standardized picture selection test for assessing the comprehension of a wide range of grammatical structures like relative clauses, passives, negations, and it does not directly target possessive syntax. So the hypothesis was, if a child is better in TROG2 with a score, maybe it could show faster reaction times across possessive structures too. Of course, it was more indicated from the predicative structures of possession, because all the items of the TROG2 were constructed with a verb. So they are structurally closer to our predicative possessive than the attributive ones. And now we are inside the children's study. So we constructed one more time our set of items, and one more time it was very difficult and stressful, but we did. So we had, of course, items both attributive and predicative. We constructed 48 attributive sentences and 48 predicative. We did a lot of controls to make sure that our well balanced, and they were the best for the age of the children that we selected, the preschool children. So we controlled the lexicon from a lot of banks like World Bank, the Child's Eat, the PVB Wireless. And of course, we did the semantic match, so the co-occurrence of the possessor and the possessed things with the LSA fun amendings. So this is the same cross structures from all our conditions. So we have the nose of the witch has the nose, the hat of the witch has the hat, the nose of the puppet has the nose, the hat of the puppet has the hat. And what we did, of course, if we want to test children, preschool children, we have to record the items, because most of them can't read. So we recorded the items, and all the sentences were recorded by 4 native speakers of Italian, with each speaker reading 1/4 of the total stimuli. And it was balanced because we had 2 female and 2 male speakers. No sentence was recorded by more than 1 speaker. And the recordings were made using Pratt, and we normalized the sentence to have a marked declarative prose. So this was what the children view on the tablet, because the experiment was a self-paced picture selection on a tablet that I take to kindergarten to take the data. So in the first screen, there was a first screen that where it was written, but I said by voice, if the children were ready, and when they were ready, they had to tap on the square with OK. Then they heard the sentence, and after that appeared on the screen 2 images. One with the exact description of the sentence. In this case, the state with the wings, and one a distractor, so a state without the wings. After that, the children in the, of course, they had to be very quickly in the response, they had to tap the correct image, and then again. So, between every item, the child could breathe and could decide when to start again with the game. So in total, we had 80 children, and the age range was from 3 to 7 years, with a mean age of 5 years. And I think the gender was well balanced, because we had 39 female and 41 male. All the children were native speakers of Italian and were recruited from 3 kindergartens in northern Italy. So let's see the predicative results. The reaction times were analyzed by the general linear mixed models with an inversion Gaussian, and what we find. There was a main effect of alienability, where the inalienable were slower than alienable. And the main effect of animacy, where the inanimate slower than animate, and a main effect of age. The older children were faster to respond. But compare the results with the attributive structure. And unfortunately, we hadn't anything that was significant. So what we can say about these results? So we had only effects in predication, but why? In our view, the predication is an asserted relation. So the verb to have is expressed, and semantically is very clear. So invites of ownership and control. So the fact that we have faster reaction times for animate possessor and alienable object is connected with the form of to have, because something that have actively is something that prototypically is animate to having, and we can control and own something that is alienable, like objects. And why known in attribution? The attribution structure is a presupposed relationship. So there is less agency and control inference. So we have the reaction times that are Q insensitive. We have nothing. And of course, we have to discuss the results of the frog2. We expected some effects maybe related with the predicative structure, but it wasn't. Of course, we find with another parallel analysis some very light effect. So maybe we can say that this verb anchored measure at most a baseline for efficiency. So I don't know, you have some suggestion for alternative test for comparison for the future maybe. And to conclude, from a broader perspective, we can say that we can consider a generative perspective, and children already know that predicative forms describe events, like X has Y, while attributive ones act as modifiers, so Y of X. Conceptual information are not part of grammar itself, but they can help processing and understanding. But we can use a usage-based view, and we can say that children learn language by linking forms and meaning through experience. They start by relying on conceptual cues like who owns what, and with exposure, more exposure in their life, they gradually build more abstract grammatical patterns. Our results fit with both of these views, but the clear difference between attributive and predicative frames suggests that grammar provides a structured framework that limits how much conceptual information matters, because we find a difference between the predicative and the attributive one. So to conclude, another question that arises from everything we understand is when and how does the mind bridge the gap between preschool and adult processing of possession? Because if you remember, we have the opposite, because the adults are more faster to understand the inalienable possession, and the children the alienable. So we think that in some of the life between the childhood and the adulthood, something change in processing. So we don't know, but only yet. Thank you very much. And if you have some questions, I'm here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This was brilliant and very clear, right? Are there any questions, comments? Let's see also from home, if there are any questions or comments from home.
I would have one question, Marianna.
Yes, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, even too much. Wait.
Oh, sorry. Is it better now?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It was very interesting. I have a question about the comparability of the attributive and the predicative frame. Because when I look at the examples in English, I don't feel that they are equivalently natural. So I think there is something.
Francesca, I'm afraid there is a lot of rimbombo here.
Oh. I will try to use. Wait a moment.
Chiudo il microfono no.
If you want to go with another question.
Can you write it?
It's a bit long, I think, and I should see the slide again. Let me try. Is it better now, maybe?
No, it's
No.
here. It is. If you can type it in the chat, the questions.
I can try.
It would be very helpful. Or you can. I see. Let's do something. Or try again. Try again. Try again. Francesca?
I'm writing, so.
Okay, no, I changed the computer, so you can, if you wanna talk, now it
Is
works.
it better now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So
Sorry.
my question is basically about the comparability of the attributive and the predicative structures. Because I don't feel that they are both naturally occurring in the same way. I think so. For example, so I think there is a general issue about not presenting the Italian examples, the Italian sentences you used, because I think also the use of the article is different between Italian and English. So these. So I'm trying to find. So for example, if you say I think it was the scar of the boxer, the boxer's scar. Okay, the boxer's scar. But there are cases where it's a bit strange, I think, when you say, for example, the nose of the witch has the nose. What does it mean, the witch has the nose? I think there is, I mean, if it is in a specific context, it could be naturally occurring as a sentence, but just as a, so isolated, it doesn't make it doesn't make sense to me. So I was just wondering whether these two structures, attributive and predicative, are really comparable.
Okay, yes, thank you very much for the question, and sorry for the delay of the understanding of it. Yes, of course, in my study, all the items are presented without context, and this was so we choose to do this because we don't want to have some contextual cues that can disturb the reaction times. For me, I think you are Francesca Dell'Oro, so
yes,
maybe...
Yes, sorry, I didn't present myself, sorry.
Okay,
yes,
no,
I'm
no, it's
Francesca.
not a problem. I only wanted to understand if you were an Italian speaker. So,
I am.
Okay, so for me, it's possible to say la strega ha il naso, so it's only a description. Okay, of course, it's normal, but imagine, I don't know, something like a story for children, and of course, you can say la strega ha il naso lungo, I don't know, or la strega non ha il naso. It's possible to say this, so for me, it's not unnatural, but I can say that when I did the norming study, the first norming study, I had this question, of course, so this was why I controlled both the conditions, the attributive and the predicative one. We can say that in some context there are some sentences that are more suitable for some context and other are not. And in the construction of or the design or the construction of all the sentences that, as I said, was very difficult to to construct something that was natural and that matches all the conditions that I want. And this is why we choose the determinative article for both the possessed and the possessor. Because with the use of other articles, maybe the non-definite one was even worse. So I think we did the best, but thank you very much. It's a good observation, of course, and I can say that yes, it could naturally in some context doesn't work, but in this context was not a problem, I think.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you
for your answer. Thank you.
Yeah, and along that thought, no, you don't have time probably, but just to reason about it, I was thinking whether there are any studies about, for instance, the alienability or these effects, experimental effects, when something is abstract, such as the possession is abstract, like I can say your arm, but I can say your smile or your happiness, your attitude, which is inalienable, but
no, there aren't. There is a lot of literature, theoretical, much theoretical and historical too, and typological too. But there is
no experiment.
less experimental literature, so it's very interesting to do new experiments, but there are not a really baseline.
Yeah. And similarly, one could say your arm, but also you can say more in general your limb. or you can say your left arm.
Yes.
So it's that more specific. I was, yeah.
Yes,
It could be interesting to brainstorm or to
Yes, of course, yeah.
explore possible hypotheses for this.
Yeah,
reasons.
there is a lot, I think. The discussion is not only linguistically, it's cultural dimension too, so it's very interesting to understand boundaries.
Exactly. Thank you. And thank you for taking part to this seminar. And we will see you again, hopefully in November, for the next seminar organized by the Abstraction Group. Stay tuned for the details. Thank you. Bye.